Talkopolis, the social media TV network for your city.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are Player to Player. I'm B-Hop. He's D-Mace. We are at Drake's in Cool Springs. And I tell you what, this is a pretty cool environment.
Yeah, it's a nice environment. A lot of things on the wall. A lot of people walking around, smelling food. Smells good.
It does. And speaking of things on the wall, I'm not sure exactly why we are in front of 2 dartboards. But we'll figure that out later on. We said we were going to get into some Sweet 16 conversation. Question I have for you off the top is, 2 cities very close to Nashville are a hotbed for college basketball action. Memphis, with Florida UCLA, and Stanford Dayton.
Yes.
And Indianapolis, just 4 hours north of us. Obviously, Tennessee is going to take on
Tennessee.
Oh my gosh, it's like right
versus Louisville.
Gosh.
No, Louisville.
Kentucky, Louisville.
Yeah, Tennessee, Mercer.
Mercer.
Yes.
Golly, I keep forgetting about them because I'm happy that Tennessee has advanced. I'm happy that Kentucky has advanced because it keeps the conversation here in Middle Tennessee very hot, especially when you're talking about college basketball. What leads me to, obviously, the next question I have for you will be the in-state rivalry up in Kentucky. Some people are calling it the Kentucky State Championship. Louisville and Kentucky, head-to-head, not too far from their respective universities. This should be a great matchup.
Well, it will be a great matchup. You got 2 universities that were, at the beginning of the season, they were taunted as, one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country.
Yeah.
But obviously, as the season went on, Kentucky went south. Louisville kind of stayed the par. They had some bad wins. They had some great wins. Some bad losses and some great wins. So Louisville pretty much stayed the par. Kentucky was a team that everyone was kind of surprised about. 5 freshmen coming in, playing, a lot of talent, but they didn't mesh well. They meshed toward the end, and obviously they've gotten themselves in the Sweet 16. But like you said, it's in-state rivalry. You got Kentucky, you got Louisville, you got Coach Pitino, who once coached at Kentucky and won a national championship. Now he's playing against a team that he coached. And on Kentucky's side, you have Coach Cal, who has won a championship with Kentucky. Now he's going against one of his mentors in Coach Pitino. So this should be a good battle. They played once earlier in the regular season. So now both teams know each other. So now it's who has the will to win? Who has the will to take over the state of Kentucky?
Every year, Coach Cal reinvents himself by coming out with the top talent. This year, he didn't disappoint in getting a Julius Randle. I think him and the Harris brothers, they are dominant pieces. But when you look at Tennessee, a guy that has been controlling the paint, that 6'8", 260-pound number 4. I call him a 4 because he's got athleticism. He's not a 7-footer, so to say he's a pure center, I think would be wrong. Jarnell Stokes for Tennessee. Now, I know they've gotten Jordan McRae, left over from the Bruce Pearl era, and he's been a leader on that team. But when you look at a young man that could potentially go into the draft next year, he has really meant a lot for Cuonzo Martin and those Tennessee Volunteers.
Well, this Tennessee team has been up and down. Earlier in the season, Cuonzo Martin, he was on the chopping block. Everybody wanted Cuonzo Martin to be fired. Everybody wanted to hire Bruce Pearl back. This team hasn't been the same since Bruce Pearl left. But Cuonzo Martin stayed diligent. He stayed true to what his philosophy was. He stayed true to the big men in the middle.
Yeah.
And eventually, this was a team that, they did kind of, teeter themselves or kind of inch themselves into the tournament. But now, what is the tournament about? The tournament is about getting in and playing well during the tournament. It not necessarily means, we played great during the regular season. You can play subpar during the regular season, get in the tournament, and then you can go on a 6-game run and end up in the national championships. And I think that's what Tennessee is doing right now. They are playing good basketball right now, very good basketball. All 5 of those guys, they're very athletic on that floor.
Right.
All 5 of those guys are playing well together. I think the last 2 or 3 games of the season, they were dominating teams, and now it's the same thing going into the tournament. And I think it'll be the same thing when they play Mercer down in Indianapolis.
Well, Derrick, how much of their winning is about the basketball X and O's, sort of, or how much of it is about the emotion that they have playing for a guy that had been mentioned about getting replaced? When Bruce Pearl came out and was obviously talking about returning to college basketball, UT fans raised their hand about wanting him back with the program. Now, Cuonzo Martin has shown himself to be a little bit more credible with 3 wins in the tournament. Do you think it was maybe emotion that sparked those kids into playing so well together?
I think it had to be both. Cuonzo has finally gotten his unit to play together as a team. One time it was Darnell Stokes, and then it was another guy. So this team never really played well together.
Right.
Darnell Stokes won a period in the game where he didn't touch the ball at the end.
Right.
And it became a big story here in Tennessee. Now this team is playing with some cohesiveness. And the best time to play with cohesiveness is during the tournament. This team is playing well. So I think it was both. I think it was the emotion of potentially them having a new coach. And then I think this team finally understood that, hey, we are a good team. We're very athletic. We got some shooters on the floor. We got a very good bench. Why can't we be one of those teams that sports writers are talking about as far as winning a tournament? Why can't we be one of those teams? I think they finally figured it out, and it's showing because they're playing good basketball right now.
Yeah, not to take anything away from the other regions of the country that have good basketball going on right now, but we're focusing on Memphis and Indianapolis because why? Because they're in a rock's throw of Nashville, of course. So looking at the Memphis brackets, I don't know how well you feel about Stanford and their momentum coming in, kind of like they limped into this round of 16. But Florida obviously contributing to the 7-0 mark that the SEC schools are having in the tournament this year. Kind of a surprise to you maybe that the SEC hadn't been defeated, that they're playing so well, almost all the schools that are still in.
No, not really. I mean, if you look at a team like Kentucky, you look at a team like Tennessee, you look at a team like Florida, who was ranked #1 going into the tournament, you saw those teams playing good basketball. The most consistent team was Florida. They played good basketball throughout the whole season. And what really stood out to me about Florida, they play excellent defense. And defense in college basketball will put you in a position to win a national championship. And for years, this team has been predicated on playing really good defense, smothering you at the defensive end, and getting fast break points with their offense. And they're doing the same thing here. They're smothering teams with their defense, and they're able to get those easy transition points on the other end.
Is it funny that when Kentucky's ranked #1, we keep talking about how the SEC is dominating college basketball? But when Florida's ranked #1, boy, it's a down year for the SEC. And yet we find them undefeated in the tournament. What team was it that put that 29-game win streak of the Wichita Shockers to bed? Kentucky.
Exactly.
I just kind of wonder if a team, well, not to take anything from Wichita State, because Wichita State, when I gave them the eyeball test, they were for real. I mean, they had length that I was surprised about. Not Baylor length. I'm not going to put them in that category. But they're at least, a team that was credible, one that you could actually count on getting back to the Final Four like they did, the year before. The last time Wichita State had lost was in the semifinals last year. So,
but basketball is a different sport. If you're shooting the ball well, any team can be beat. It's not, say, like football or hockey or something like that, where there's some strategy. I'm not saying there's not strategy to basketball, but if a team is hot, no matter what you do to try to stop them, they're going to keep on hitting baskets. And I think, that's what Wichita State did. During the season, they were extremely hot. Everything they threw up went in the basket. So, I mean, they just ran into a very good Kentucky team, and they, end up losing.
Yeah, actually, boy, if you've got some long-range guns, that levels the playing field, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, because we got to take a break, the NFL owners are meeting down there in Orlando. They're working on their tans like Derrick was doing in Mexico with little DJ. When we come back, we'll go over the rules and see which ones Derrick agrees with or disagrees with. Are they going to make the game better, or are they tinkering with it way too much? We'll have that discussion.
Leave the game alone. Leave it alone.
Right here on Player to Player, live from Drake's in Cool Springs. He's D Mace. I'm B Hop. We'll be right back.